Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Joshua chapter 20 and 21, we read about how lands were allocated to two groups of people after all the other tribes got their inheritance. After all the tribes of Israel got their inheritance. The first group of people were those who had accidentally killed someone. You see, someone who killed another person unintentionally in Israel is not subject to the death penalty. But God was concerned that that person may face a vendetta from the victim's family. In the laws and customs of other nations, that kind of killer was required to flee the country. However, we know that the land of Israel is God's gift to His people, and God wanted Israelites to be there with Him in the land of Israel. Therefore, God uniquely provided a sanctuary within the promised land for those who were innocent. Friends, we too fall into sin and are caught by sin sometimes. But we can run to our Lord. He is our refuge. This does not minimize the sin that we commit. Sin is sin, and it affects so many other people as well. But we could run to the Lord our Judge, who will give us the right verdict and also the solution. In Joshua 20, verse 4 and 5, we see how the person who had killed another person unintentionally needs to flee to one of these cities called the cities of refuge and stand there in the entrance of the city gate and state his case before the elders of that city. Those elders have to admit that fugitive into their city and provide a place for him to live among them. And if the avenger of blood comes in pursuit, the elders must not surrender the fugitive, because the fugitive killed his neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. And the fugitive will stay in that city of refuge until he had stood trial before the assembly and until the death of the high priest who was serving at that time. And then he can go back to his home in the town from which he fled. And this law applied not only for Israelites, but in verse 9 we read that it applied to any foreigner residing among the Israelites. Friends, we see how God ensures that even those who had committed these kinds of things is treated fairly. Friends, that is our God, a God of justice and truth. Secondly, in Joshua chapter 21, we read about how the family heads of the Levites come to Joshua and Eliezer and ask for land. You see, God had not given an inheritance to the tribe of Levi like He had given inheritance to all the other tribes in the land of Canaan. But the Lord had commanded the Israelites to offer the lands that they had received to the tribe of Levi. It was like the offerings that the people of Israel brought to the temple. God had blessed them in their fields, and out of those blessings, they were commanded to bring a portion and give it to the priest. And similarly, here, in a beautiful way, the people of Israel give away some of their lands to the Levitical tribes. And so, the Levites get a lot of property in Canaan because the people of Israel willingly and voluntarily offered it to them. Finally, friends, believers also are generous with what God has given to them. They give away a portion of their blessings to people who may not have those blessings. Finally, in Joshua chapter 21, verse 43 to 45, we read the wonderful conclusion for all this division of the land. Verse 43 reads, So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. Verse 44, The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. You see, God had given all the land to Israel that he had promised, and also no one could withstand them. God's gift of the land was God's gift of grace to Israel. Now it is their turn to live as God wanted them to live in God's land. By being grateful to his blessings, the people of Israel can be faithful to the Lord. For the New Testament believer, all this gives confidence that we will also receive our eternal rewards. One day, all our enemies will be brought under subjection. Sin, Satan, and every disease will be washed away. God's promises to us will never fail. But in the meantime, holding on to the promises of God, we are grateful to all his blessings, and therefore we live faithful lives in the places where God has put us.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.